Here's the situation. There's a wild pile of religions about, right? Here and there. But the big ones, you kind of have to figure out if any of them are right. And the one you're born into is going to be a relative truth in most cases if absolute truth exists. And if the absolute truth is to do with religion, you kind of have to have an inquiring mind, and you would need to demonstrate that that's the right thing to do as well. That if you just so happen to be born into the one that's true, like if there is a true one, how do you compare the religions? And there's a lot of people talking about this, isn't there? Well, I'll tell you one way that I would judge religions and between religions, and that is to look at what happens when you get a government that's composed of people of one religion. When religious people get into power and have political power and have a monopoly on that political power and can do what they want, that's when you find out really what that religion's all about and what the fruit of it is going to be. What's the fruit of that religion? Like fruit that grows on trees. What's the fruit of that religion? What is it going to produce in a political system? So a number of people nowadays, they're looking at these Eastern religions and they're wondering if maybe they're true. And that's not a bad thing to do, to wonder and to investigate. But when you look at some examples of how, these religions have performed when they've become powerful in terms of politics, that's when you know. One of these Eastern religions, they got into power in a country in Southeast Asia, down around there, and they kicked all the people out from another religion into a neighbouring country. And that was an ethnic group from a different religion. They're the ones that I talked about, a different group. They have a book that teaches them to beat their wife. But anyway, this other group that are supposed to be very peaceful, they're following a man that wanted to get rid of all human suffering. They kicked 1 million of them, 1 million people across the border, and they're living in muck. For years now, they're living in muck, and it's the biggest group of human beings that have lived in muck that we know about. 1 million. So this is telling you how peaceful this group of people are. They might be an Eastern group, and there might be some people over here in the West that appear to be peaceful. They're doing peaceful things in the name of that religion. But if you go to that country where everybody's like that, and where they have full monopoly on the government, that's what you see them doing. Not only that, but there's another country that has a lot of those people in it as well. In fact, that's where the leader lives. Another country high up in the mountains, up in the Himalayas. And we had a man that was baptized from there. And when they found out about it, there was death threats made against his family, and the government would not put any protection on that family. That tells you something about that religion. They put his name and a picture of him on the front of the newspaper so that everybody could see what a traitor he was, calling him a national traitor because he stopped following that religion. That says something about that religion. And I'm not going to listen to people here in the West telling me that that's a peaceful religion just because they're in a minority in my country and they don't have political power. Goodness me, if they got political power, look what they would do. That's what they do in their own country. So, this is how I can judge between different religions. We talked about one in another one of my talks that beats their wives. We talked here about another one that gets into power. And even if you look at Cromwell, even in England, if you go back and look at Cromwell's bare bones parliament back in 1653, he let some people, some Anabaptists, mind you, following the same teaching as we are, let some of them into his government, some of them. And that government was completely useless. Completely useless. Now, it wasn't all Anabaptists. It was probably less than 20% or less were Anabaptists. but they couldn't agree on anything. And that was a big mistake, them Anabaptists joining that government, because they wouldn't have been able to achieve anything at all. Now, what does the Bible say about this whole thing? Here in Luke chapter 20, Jesus says, He said to them, Then give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's. And this was been asked about a fiscal policy to do with the government, that we're taking a certain tax and all that kind of crap. Should we pay taxes? Should we do what the government says? Of course we should. So long as it's not telling us to do anything wrong, and paying money for services is not wrong, whether you disagree with the services being rendered or not. It's possible for us to lead a life within politics, but to have the goal of using politics to advance the religion, that's not going to happen. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's. That's the situation.